Cable Bahamas has been and continues to be a positive shot in the arm for our summer camps. We look forward to it. Without Cable Bahamas, I don't know if we will succeed, because we look forward to the funding and we are very appreciative, particularly the Cable Cares program. We are very appreciative to what they do.
We thank the Cable Cares Foundation, which would have given into this program, and it's going to pay dividends in the long run because each one of these children are affected.
Well, Cable Bahamas Foundation has helped us in a huge way. We are out there looking for all kinds of help, and I am so happy that the Cable Foundation didn't decline us based on the economy and what is going on today.
So they've been it for a long time, and we look for them to be with us for many years to come.
The National Security Minister says the government isn't responsible for the rise in crime. Raynard Rigby says he's ready to challenge Christie for leadership of the PLP. The family of a man shot and killed by police speaks out, plus how healthy will your child's lunchbox be this year? We've got those stories and more coming up tonight. I'm Kyle Joaquin, and NB12 starts right now. Welcome once again to NB12. 4 years after he declared that the ineffectiveness of the FNM government to address crime resulted in a crime explosion, National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage suggested today that he never blamed the former government for the country's crime problem and asserted the Christie administration is not responsible for the current escalation in crime. Nottage's comments came as he defended his nationally televised address on crime, which has been branded as insulting. Bonnie Toot reports.
Following scathing criticisms of his recent national address on crime, National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage responded to critics today, calling their comments sad but typical. He said if anyone expects government officials to wave a magic wand and fix everything, they're in for a rude awakening.
Last week I made a national address on crime to our country, and I read the next day that I was talking stuff. Wouldn't use the words they used. And it speaks to me about how little people understand about the critical issues that we face in this country with illegal drugs, illegal firearms, gang formation, which for us, we've never seen the like of it before in this country. And if people believe that we can just wave a magic wand and solve the problems that we face, they've got a sad awakening.
While addressing participants of a U.S. government-sponsored forensic ballistics seminar today, Nottage defended his national crime address, which opposition leaders branded as insulting, inconsiderate, lacking depth, and eons too late. Though he acknowledged that the use of drugs and firearms and gang formation have reached levels never seen before, Nottage insisted the Christie administration is not to blame for the country's crime problem.
The Christie administration is not guilty of anything. What we have is an unstable community at this present time. The Christie administration didn't cause that. We have to face what the facts are. The facts are that we, as citizens and parents, have been derelict in our duty with our charges, with our children. I invited the leader of the opposition to join us. I see the leader of the other political parties making statements. I invite him to join us. Come and find out what's going on. Come and find out how you can help. And let's solve this problem together.
Nottage sang a different tune while in opposition in 2011, though, when he said in the House of Assembly the ineffectiveness of the FNM to address growing crime trends and concerns to ensure that crime is kept at manageable levels has resulted in this crime explosion. Crime and the fear of crime have never been greater. The Bahamas has never felt as unsafe as it is today. However, Nottage suggested today he never blamed the FNM government for crime.
I regret nothing that I said There were people who were talking about how many murders this and not me. You check the record. You'll see no record of me blaming anybody except ourselves, the community generally.
Nottage also rejected criticisms in National Review article The Face of Hypocrisy, which pointed out that he has now embraced the crime initiatives he criticized in 2011.
It's just sad but typical of what the press in this country does. You want to call me a hypocrite, fine, but how is that going to help? I think that the press, in my opinion, has to understand the role it can play and should seek to play that role. But if I'm hypocritical, fine. But I know some of the things that need to be done, and I have some authority. I have some authority to be able to get those done, and those I will do.
During his crime address, Nottage said the government intends to bring a parental responsibility bill that would compel parents with minors to either be effective parents or face criminal prosecution. He also announced plans to conduct community walkabouts beginning this month. The National Security Minister insisted that the Christie administration is determined to turn things around. Reporting for NB12, I'm Voinik Tood.
After police shot and killed a number of suspects last month, the family of one of the victims who was shot in front of a home on Providence Avenue is speaking out. Simone Davis has that story.
Family members of a man who was shot multiple times by police officers just outside of the family's residence say they don't understand exactly what took place that day, but they just want answers. 25-year-old Keith James Neely, seen in the photo, was shot to his death on Sunday, August 23rd, by police after he allegedly pointed a gun at officers during a foot chase in the Chippingham area. Police said they received information that a group of men were armed with firearms in front of a home, and upon arrival, they found a group of men standing in the street. The men then fled when they noticed the officers. This led police into a chase until they caught up with one of the men, who reportedly pointed a gun at the officers, who then fatally shot the suspect. However, Neely's friend, who did not want his identity revealed, said he was with Neely when the incident occurred and claimed neither of them were armed.
No gun was pulled out. Before they even get in the yard, my boy was ready to run because they just jumped out the car and they had to come to the gate. So, no gun get pulled on none of them.
However, Assistant Commissioner of Police Stephen Dean said police are trained to only shoot at suspects if they are armed or fire shots first. During an interview on the scene, Dean said a handgun was recovered from the suspect at that time. He noted that police received several complaints from residents about the suspect, and he was only shot because he pointed a gun at police. Neely's older brother, who came to the scene after hearing the commotion, described it as random and unnecessary and said he believed his brother's life should have been spared after he surrendered to police.
I watched him say that. I witnessed him dead. He dead in my hand. Because when I was trying to lift him up, he was still breathing after he got shot. I was the first one on the scene.
He said the last thing his brother said to him was,
he said, "Bro, I ain't do nothing." That's what he said.
President of Families of All Murdered Victims, Candy Gibson, said while she agrees with police efforts to crack down on crime, she believes it should be handled differently.
While we at FOAM, we support the Bahamar Police Force. We support their work efforts. We wouldn't be condoning this type of action. I think there should be a better way of dealing with persons who they claim have a firearm. Now, I do support that they get so if your life is in danger and you feel like someone's going to take your life, I do say that they have the right to protect themselves. But right now, this family is grieving, and this family want answers. And the last thing we want is a better society where we can have persons gone down the streets, families are mourning, families are grieving, and there's no answer. So we call right now under Bahamar Police Force, to just, and the public, to deal with stuff a little better.
The incident is currently being investigated by Coroner Janine Weech Gomez and was recorded as the 5th fatal shooting of 7 shootings by police last month. The family is hoping that when the case goes to the coroner's court, they will get justice. Reporting for NB12, I'm Simone Davis.
While government has expressed its commitment to pay Bahamar employee salaries until the money it's using runs out, State Minister for Finance Michael Alquita said today this month's payroll decision may hinge on the outcome of Friday's court matter, noting the Bahamar saga looms large and credit rating agencies are keeping a close eye on what's taking place. Alquita said government is hoping the entire matter will be settled quickly. Dana Smith reports.
When it comes to the employee payroll, Halkitis said government will see what happens when the Bahamar matter is back before the court, and that will guide the decision. He said government is hoping for a speedy resolution to the Bahamar saga.
We'll wait to see what happens on Friday. I mean, I think anything I say would just be speculation. A lot depends on what comes out, and I think we just wait and see. The fact of the matter is, it's there. We're hopeful for a speedy resolution. And if not, then we just have to have plans in place to deal with it.
On Friday, it's expected Supreme Court Justice Ian Winder will rule on the government's push for provisional liquidators to take over operations at the mega resort, which has been at a standstill since its bankruptcy filing back in June. In the meantime, government has been paying the salaries of the resort's Bahamian employees out of the $21 million government had agreed to pay Bahamar for the rerouted West Bay Street. Our news team asked Halkitis if government intends to pay this month's salaries.
We see what happens when the judgment comes back, and that would guide what we do.
Last month, Deputy Prime Minister Philip Davis pledged that government would continue to pay the employees until the money runs out. Halkitis was asked what would happen if or when that happens.
Hopefully we don't get to that point. Hopefully we have, when the matter is adjudicated and the judgment comes back, we put on a road to a speedy resolution. And hopefully, I'll just leave it at that. Hopefully, we don't want to speculate on what would happen. We're just hopeful for a speedy resolution and that the project restarts and is open and begins to contribute more to the economy.
Operations and construction at the development have ceased, and it's unclear when the resort will open. U.S. Judge Kevin Carey told the parties involved in the Delaware bankruptcy proceedings to keep talking. This after attorneys advised that discussions had come to a halt. Reporting for NB12, I'm Dana Smith.
Former Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Raynard Rigby says he intends to run for leader of the party during its convention in November. At the moment, it is still unclear whether Prime Minister Christie would seek another go at being leader. But Rigby says regardless of Christie's decision, he's just making his intentions known that he wants to be the next leader of the PLP.
Mr. Christie has to decide them for himself. As I said, it's a journey. The journey started for me in 2002. Where the journey will end and when it will end and where it would land in the midst of that journey, the Bahamian people will ultimately determine. I'm only putting myself forth as a willing servant.
Rigby was elected chairman of the party back in 2002 and says he made it no secret that from then, that election for him was only the beginning of his political journey. Tourism Minister Obi Wolchcombe, as well as Deputy Prime Minister Philip Davis, have both indicated that they are ready to lead. While he didn't really speak to the shortcomings of the present government, he said they tried, but at the moment, he feels the country needs to head in a new direction.
We know that there are far too many Bahamians who this evening will be struggling to put food on their table for their families. We know that there are far too many Bahamians who this very same day are anxiously looking for work because they want to take care of their families and take care of their responsibilities. We know there are far too many Bahamians who have no idea for what the future will hold for them, that they have no hope in the future of the Bahamas. The opportunities are dwindling for our people. And when we look at those realities, we have to ask ourselves one important question: is that the kind of the Bahamas we want for ourselves, for our children and our grandchildren? And I think the overwhelming answer will be no.
As for the backlash he could have received for possibly challenging Christie, if he decides to seek re-election, Rigby says he knows his party quite well, and he can handle whatever criticism is thrown at him.
I know the PLP very well. I'm prepared. These shoulders are broad enough to withstand all arrows, all darts that may come my way. What I would hope though is that people would see that we should be having a discussion in our party about leadership, about direction, about vision, about standards, etc., and about, more importantly perhaps, for the future of the country.